Okay, good day. So today we will talk about the indigenous science and technology in the Philippines. So the first objective of this lesson is first we will discuss about the concept of indigenous science, and later we will also discuss the contribution of indigenous science in the development of science and technology in the Philippines. So first, we will define what is indigenous. So indigenous, no, based on Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it relates to earliest known inhabitants of a place that was colonized by a now dominant group. So, medyo medyo vague ang meaning ng indigenous kay Merriam-Webster's, no? So the indigenous meant, no, earliest inhabitants of a place. So it means the early Filipinos or our ancestors. So, but it doesn't mean that the indigenous only pertains to the earliest inhabitants, but it also pertains to indigenous tribes, no, that have already preserved their culture. And even though that we are colonized, no, like the Philippines, we are colonized by three races. First, the most longer period of time, the Spaniards. The second are the Americans, and a very short span of time, the Japanese. Okay? So even though these colonizers, no, has influenced the Philippines in their own culture and belief, no, and ideas, but these tribes, no, not only tribe, marami to sila, they are scattered all around the Philippines, have preserved, no, their ideals, their practices, no. It is similar, no, these practices are similar to the earliest Filipino inhabitants, no, in our place. So the indigenous knowledge system. Okay, so now we will talk about indigenous knowledge of system, which is of course science, where science will be starting from the knowledge system. Okay, so the early Filipinos, no, knows how to predict weather conditions and seasons using knowledge in observing animal behavior and celestial bodies. Okay, so yung mga ninuno natin dati, marunong nang mag-predict ng weather condition. So, ibig sabihin, no, even though there are no, like today, we have modern technologies, no, to predict weather, no, even though a simple skill as it is, it's very helpful, no. So, ma'am, paano yan siya? Mag-predict lang ba ng weather? Like for example, yung nag-dark lang ang sky, so uulan? No, parang ganon. No, it's not as simple as that. No, so I will give them an example. This is a personal experience, no, from my grandmother. The elders, no, in my family, even though there are times, no, actually there are times na kahit dumidilim ang langit, pero akala mo ulan, pero hindi naman. Or kung uulan, hindi naman tumatagal, no? So, yung my grandmother has that skill, no, to predict kung ang ulan ba yan ay tatagal ba hanggang bukas, or ang ulan ba na yan ay dadaan lang, or kahit madilim ang langit hindi umuulan. So, they know how to predict that, they know how, they have that skill, no, to predict that the weather condition. So, kaya nga sinasabi ko, paano to nakukuhan? Saan ka to natutunan, no, ng grandmother ko? Aside from, of course, for how many years that she has been living, no, on the surface of this planet, no, and for the experiences, of course, meron talagang nagpasa sa kanya ng knowledge na yan, no? So, of course, sino ba ang nagpapasa ng knowledge? That is a generation before her. So, saan ba nanggaling yung knowledge na yun? Of course, yung galing sa generation earlier and earlier, and then now we know na ang predicting weather condition pala ay nag-start pala talaga sa early Filipinos, no, our early ancestors. Okay, next, of course, the use of herbal medicine. Okay, so sino ba dito sa atin ang hindi gumagamit ng herbal medicine? Okay, so per household, when you're a Filipino, you have a herbal medicine. Okay, so I know, no, sino ba ditong exempted, no? Even mayaman pa na Pilipino or mahirap na Pilipino, all of us are using herbal medicine. Okay, another is preserving foods. Okay, so we will talk about that later. Okay, and then we have classifying plants and animals into families and groups based on the cultural properties. And the last one, which is similar in classifying plants and animals, will be preserving and collecting good seeds for planting. Okay, so these are the 10 herbal medicines in the Philippines. Okay, so I know, observe, no, look at the names of this this plant, no, or the fruit, or uh, just a vegetable, no, kasi merong vegetable dyan. These 10 herbal medicines are all approved by the Department of Health, no? So, bakit ma'am? So, what does it mean this is approved by the Department of Health? It means that this is safe, no, to consume. Okay? This is safe for use. Walang na-report na side effect na may namatay na dyan, nalaso na dyan. And, at the same time, effective siya sa kung ano man ang paggagamitan niya. Okay? So, there are, and aside from these 10 herbal medicines, I know that you know many things, no? Many herbal medicine aside from these 10. Okay? So, Acapulco, we have, the Acapulco is still, we call this Acapulco here. Remember, class, that there are in a certain place, no, in a certain localities, there are local names, what we call it, no? So, what does it mean local names, ma'am? Ibig sabihin yun ang tinatawag ninyo sa halaman, no? Per locality. So, like for example, like this, no? The pansit-pansitan. Okay? So, ma'am, ano yung pansit-pansitan? Hindi man yung tawag namin dito pansit-pansitan, kundi ang tawag natin yan dito is sinaw-sinaw. Okay, yes. Actually, it refers to the same plant. Okay? But then, since local name siya, depende sa lugar nga kung ano ang pangalan niya. Maybe this pansit-pansitan, ito ang tawag sa sinaw-sinaw doon sa Luzon. Pagdating mo naman dito sa Mindanao, ang tawag dyan ay sinaw-sinaw. Okay? So, depende yan siya sa local name. Okay? So, kaya nga sabi ko, ang Acapulco din yan dito sa Mindanao, sa Zamboanga in particular. Ang ampalaya, the same lang din. Ang bawang, of course, every household has bawang, no? Tagaluto nyo, mayroon talagang bawang at hindi yan mawawala. At sino ba naman ang hindi nakakakilala sa bayabas? Okay? And we have lagundi, no? Actually, may lagundi na na-capsulize, no? Para sa ubo. Kasi napaka-effective nito sa ubo. Others, they're using this for fever. Okay? This niyog-niyogan, I'm not really I know this plant, but I'm not really sure kung niyog-niyogan ba ang local name dito yan sa Mindanao, or particularly in our place, no? Sambong is still sambong. Chaang gubat, no, there's no such chaang gubat here. I think this have a different local name in our place, and I think this yerba buena, this last picture will be oregano. No, they are just calling their yerba buena, no? So here, oregano. Okay, now we will go to the preserving of foods. Okay, so look at the images, no? I know that you're familiar with this food, no? So maybe that will be your food for today, no? Ang isa sa mga picture na I presented, no, today. So sino bang hindi nakakilala sa bulad? Okay? Atsara at sa chorizo or longganisa. Okay? So, ma'am, ano to? What does it mean nag-preserve ang food? Yes, actually, the process of making tuyo, bulad, or dried fish is a way of preserving food for longer storage. Remember, class, early Filipinos, wala pang refrigerator dati. Okay, wala pa tayong ref, no? Ngayon lang yan sa modern times. Okay? So ngayon, of course, hindi naman always masagana ang ating ninuno sa pagkain. May mga times talaga na hindi talaga sila makakakuha ng pagkain. Kasi nga, for example, like fishes, paano kung bumagyo ng almost isang buwan? So, of course, that will be impossible for them to catch fish. So, or maybe, naparami ang kanilang huli. no? So sayang naman itapon ninyo ang pagkain. So our ancestors have find a way to make a food, no? Make it last longer. So this one way, no, on brining and salting, brining and drying. So of course, I know that you know how to make a dried fish. Usually, it is cleaned. No, the intestines were removed, and then it depends on no kung if you want it a whole fish or you want it to fillet it into two, no. So and then applied um, ano to, generous amount of salt, no, to the fish and then dried it out in the open sunlight. So that is how our ancestor, actually nag-start na yan sa ancestors natin. So ma'am, how about itong mga atsara? Ito pala mga atsara natin, no, pati yung chorizo natin, galing pa pala yan sa ninuno natin. Yes. Kung ang ginagamit sa, ano to tawag, ang ginagamit sa dried fish is salt, no? Ang ginagamit naman sa chorizo is sugar, no? The preserving component. Okay, remember your chemistry class, no? About solute and solvent. No, alam natin itong solutes, no, like sugars and solid materials like sugars and salt, pag mas mataas ang concentration nila sa isang ano to tawag sa isang solution, there will be a lower level of bacterial growth, no? So ini-inhibit niya. What does it mean ini-inhibit? Ibig sabihin na hindi nabubuhay ang bacteria sa mga high concentration of solutes, no, na mga solutions. So what does it mean? Pag walang bacteria, bacteria naman kasi is the cause of decay, no? And decomposition. So yan ang reason kaya nabubulok in the first place ang mga lalong-lalo na yung mga meat, no? So fishes, of course, meat, no? Meat-based products. So itong ginagawa. So next is kung ang solutes naman, meron naman tayong solvent no, in liquid form, which is the atsara. Yan. This is one of our beloved side dishes of the Filipinos, no? So ang preserving component niyan is vinegar. Okay, so vinegar is high in acidity. So the same pa rin ang kanyang concept. Bacteria will not grow in a very acidic solution. So that's the reason why the food is ano to tawag, the food lasts longer, no, than if you will not treat it like that. Okay? So, yan yung mga ways. So, ganyan pala matagal na pala yan. Yes, matagal na yan. Okay? Minana pa natin yan sa early Filipinos. Okay, next is classifying plants and animals. Okay, so, of course, ng time na yon tinitingnan ng mga ninuno natin kung ano ba ang plants na makain, no? Ano ang edible or not, no? At that is applicable also to animals. Okay? So, what happens to sa mga kwan? What happens sa mga ninuno natin na nakakain ng poisonous or mga inedible na mga plants or animals? Of course, in a worst case scenario, nalalason ang ninuno natin. So, pag ganyan, may nalason, no? Sasabihin ng kapitbahay niya, ay, ito palang kinain niya, lason pala to. So, dapat iwasan natin yan. Hindi na natin yan kainin. So, dyan pa lang nagkakaroon na ng observation and classification of plants and animals that are poisonous and not poisonous, edible or not edible. Okay, so yan yung kwa natin. Okay, next is using indigenous technology in daily life. So what are these indigenous technology? Yung mga simple na mga spears na made out of wood, no? Or actually we have already metallurgy. Metallurgy means the use of metal, no? Gumagawa na tayo ng mga simple knives, no? Actually yung mga itak, no? Yung itak ni Lapu-Lapu, no? So sa time ni Lapu-Lapu, si Lapu-Lapu mismo is included pa sa indigenous Filipinos, no? Kasi siya mismo ay hindi niya tinanggap yung bagong culture, no? So pure culture, Filipino culture pa rin siya. So, building local irrigation system. So, I will show you an example later on of the most famous irrigation system that is existing until now. Okay? And then we have classifying different types of soil for plant-based on cultural properties. Of course, no, kahit even though yung maganda ang klase ng plant mo, pero kung hindi marunong ang mga ninuno natin magtingin, no, how to identify and classify a good type of soil, no, for planting, sayang lang ang kanilang effort sa pag sorting, no, ng good quality seeds, no, or plants. Okay? And then producing wine and juices from tropical fruits. We will talk about that later. I have an image example later on. And then keeping the custom of growing plants and vegetables in the yard. Okay, so sino ba dito sa atin ang hindi mahilig ano to tawag, magtanim ng vegetables? Okay? So actually class, yung maghalaman sa backyard ng mga ornamental plants, ngayon lang yan siya naging uso, no? Pero earlier Filipino sa until now, mas prefer ng mga Pilipino na mag-grow ng not only plants, no, but plant that can be eaten and vegetable. No, like for example, like malunggay, okay? Alugbati, like saluyot, no? Ano pa ba yung mga pinaplant na ano pa ba pinaplant sa backyard? So usually green leafy vegetables, and then we have um, mga kamyas, no? Yung mga kamyas, we have at home, no? My grandmother is really fond of planting kamyas and fruit trees, no? Like mangga, santo, lanzones, no? Like that, okay? So something plant that can be eaten, no? So ganyan practical masyado ang custom na yan. So planting vegetables, no, in plants in the yard. So usually this became a common conflict among neighbors kasi may mga neighbor talaga na mga pasaway, mahilig talaga kumuha ng halaman or ng malunggay, mag-harvest ng mga ano-ano dyan na hindi naman sa kanila without asking permission. Okay, so these are the example, no? Kakasabi ko lang yung irrigation system natin na until now, no, ay nakikita pa rin. So that is this is a example of an early rice no, ginagamit ng mga ninuno. Pero hindi yan ganyan na wala pang pintal. Just imagine na napaka-raw niyan, puro wood, no, like that. And then hindi ganyan kwan ang kwan. I just can find something na mukha talaga siyang pang sinaunang araro, no? Araro yan kumaga. So we have the Banawe rice terraces. Okay, so this is our one of the existing irrigation system that starting pa to sa mga early Filipinos, no? Actually, it was included in the 8 wonders of the world, no? Now it's not included already because the big part of the Banawe rice terraces or the hagdan-hagdan palayan is already destroyed. Okay? So, bakit na-destroy to siya? Bakit nasira? No? May naninira ba? No. Actually, class, eto, mga Ifugaos ang nagme-maintain ng mga yan. May tribes yan, indigenous tribe, no? They are one of this is the Ifugaos. So this the way, no? Ito yung way nila on how to plant rice kasi in their area, it's usually hindi kasi plain ang kanilang land area. Usually it's mountainous. So to make advantage of that they made a way, no, to plant, no, paano magplant na kapag hindi patag ang inyong lugar. So that is one way, no, to make ano to tawag, stair style, no, of rice terraces nga. So bakit nasira na siya, ma'am? Kasi the modern, no, the I mean the existing generation, no, I mean maybe because before, no, the generation now of the Ifugaos and maybe the generation before, no, because of the demand of the economy, no, medyo nagkukuhan tayo. So, hindi na, medyo nagiging practical na ang generation ngayon. So, of course, kasi nagkakaroon na ng mga TVs, no? Nagkakaroon na ng internet. So, na-educate na in other customs ang bagong generation ng mga Ifugaos ngayon. So, of course, I think as a future generation, no, they need to support their family. And of course, they will make their family of their own, no, to support that. So, mas malaki kasi ang income, no? Actually, the reality is, mas malaking income talaga sa city. So, ang nangyayari, supposedly, na i-maintain, yan yung work nila, no, to plant rice and to maintain the rice terraces. There are no one else willing to do that anymore. So, yung mga older generation na lang ang nagme-maintain ng rice terraces na yan. So, ang mangyayari niyan, no, the sad story about that is almost lahat ng mga younger generation ng mga Ifugaos ay nasa city na at nag-work na. And then and ang nagme-maintain na lang diyan is yung mga lolo-lolo na, yung mga older generations, and yung parang head ng kanilang tribe, no, the head of the tribe. So there are only few. So, sobrang laki nito klase, hindi to basta-basta ma-maintain. So only few who are willing to maintain this landscape, no. So unti-unti na siyang nasisira. Okay, so yan yung that's the sad story behind this our treasure, no. Actually known to masyado kasi kahit sa pera natin meron pa ng hagdan-hagdan pala yan, diba? Nawi rice terraces. Okay, another is the local wines, no. Local wines means yung mga wine na ginagawa natin. So if the European have a wine that is made up of grapes, no, that is usually the wine that you can encounter, no, on the shelves of our supermarket, no, that is made up of grapes, no. Pero of course we have local wine also. So sino bang hindi naka-encounter ng tuba, no? So maybe mga uncle, no, yung mga lolo, they preferred to drink tuba, no, rather than wines, no, expensive ones, kasi para sa kanila yan yung pasok sa panglasa, no. Not they do not prefer any other brands or any other kind of wine. Okay, so aside from the coconut wine, we have the sugarcane wine, which is the lambanog, no. Ang lambanog masyadong alcoholic. Actually may namatay na diyan kasi mataas masyado ang content ng alcohol. So medyo moderate lang yan iniinom. Parang kumbaga, kung pag iniinom yan, parang yung, alam mo yung mga Koreans na nilalagay lang sa maliit na baso, no? Unlike sa tuba, talagang nilalagay sa hanggang baso-baso talaga ng malalaki, like beer. Okay? So, we have that also, no? This is a pride to our one, because our ancestors was the one who made that. So, indigenous science. So, we'll talk about indigenous science. Indigenous science is part of the indigenous knowledge system practiced by different groups of people and early civilization. So it includes complex arrays of knowledge, expertise, no? Kakasabi ko lang kanina, I was in example ko yung grandmother ko. So practices and representations that guide human societies in their enumerable interactions with the natural milieu. Okay, so what does it mean, natural milieu? Wala naman kasing ginagawa dati yung mga kuan natin yung mga hindi gagaya ngayon, no. We have a structural organization, and then we have schools, no. We have companies that we need to run. Okay, so hindi pa masyadong napakasimple lang ng buhay dati ng ating ancestors, no, unlike us today, medyo complex na. Okay, so we have agriculture, medicine, naming and explaining natural phenomena, and strategies for coping with the changing environments. Okay? So, indigenous science help the people in understanding the natural environment and in coping with everyday life. So, that is the meaning of indigenous science, no? So, remember class, no, di ba, I have already mentioned what is the meaning of indigenous. Baka akala ninyo kasi pag indigenous science, pagpasok pa lang ng terminology na science, ang pumapasok sa isip ninyo is yung biology, may microscope, may laboratory apparatus. No. So, I will remind you that science came from processing skills, no. Actually, dyan nag-start ang science, no? In processing skills such as what? First, observation or observing, no? When you observe, actually, nagpa-practice na kayo ng science. Once we observe, nagkakaroon na kayo ng comparing, no? You're having a comparison between two things, no? And then classifying, yun ang ginagawa ng mga ancestors natin, nag-classify sila ng plants and animals. Measuring. Nagme-measure na sila. No? Actually, may mga dipa-dipa, isang dipa. Okay? So, problem solving, no? For example, nag-away yung dalawang kapitbahay, yung kwan, yung raha, o paano kayo ma-solve natin ang problema ninyo? Okay? Or umulan ng malakas pa, every time na bumabagyo, nasisira to, paano kaya natin gawin to para hindi to masira next time magbagyo na naman? That is problem solving. Inferring, communicating, just communicating class ha? That is indigenous science, that is science, and of course, predicting. Okay, so such simple as that. Okay, so indigenous science is guided by culture and community values such as the following. Okay, so actually, the overall the ideas of the indigenous science, no, or they are masyadong naturalist ang kanilang idealism. So, paano mo natin masabi naturalist? Napaka pro-environment ng mga ng mga early Filipinos, no? If not only early Filipinos, but this yung mga existing indigenous tribes, no? So first is the land is a source of life, no? It is a precious gift from the creator. Okay? So yan ang iniisip nila, ganyan. Next, the earth is revered as the mother earth. It is the origin of their identity as people. Okay? So ganyan. Okay. Next, all living and non-living things are interconnected and interdependent with each other. So naniniwala sila na mapabuhay, mapapatay, lahat interconnected yan at lahat dependent yan sa isa't isa. So walang dapat mawala, no, sa sa nature. Kasi dependent tayo dyan and we are interconnected. Okay? And then we have human beings are stewards or trustee of the land and other natural resources. They have responsibility to preserve it. So what does it mean, steward? Ibig sabihin, ikaw ang tagapagpangalaga ng natural resources. Hindi mo yan dapat sirain. Kung meron ka man gagamitin, no, kuha ka lang ng kailangan mo. And all of the human beings, they believe, no, every individual has the responsibility to preserve the natural resources or nature. Okay? And the last one is, nature is a friend to human beings. It needs respect and proper care. So, di ba kakasabi ko lang, napaka-naturalist ng kanilang idealism, no, ng indigenous people. No? So, this, because of this class, no, because of this idealism, the government, no, in this in this time, no, ang time natin, pag may mga indigenous tribe, binibigyan ng government yan ng, for example, pag dyan talaga nang galing ang indigenous tribe, ginagawa nilang nagbibigay, nag-grant ang government ng vast of lands, no? Kasi itong mga, syempre, because of this idealism, no, kasi ang mga indigenous tribe natin kasi, yan pa rin ang paniniwala nila. So, hindi sila abusado sa nature. So, kapag may mga kasi nagsisira ng like for example, no, pinaka-destructive sa lahat is mining. No? Mining. So, yan. Kahit na pag nagmamine ka, kasi ang nangyayari, pinuputol mo lahat ng puno, sinisira mo lahat just to dig, no, that mineral, that particular mineral that you are targeting. So, dyan pa lang, no, ang makakalaban mo na talaga, number one, lalong-lalo na kapag nandyan ka sa teritoryo ng indigenous people na yan or ng tribe na yan, is yung mga, that particular tribe, kung saan ka nagte-trespass. Okay? So actually, maraming namamatay na mga indigenous people because of that. No? Kasi of course, it's between, money and belief. Okay? So, yan ang nangyayari. So, next is, the indigenous science is composed of traditional knowledge, practiced and valued by people and communities such as ethnobiology, ethnomedicine, indigenous farming methods, and folk astronomy. Okay, so meron mga ganyan. Okay, so that will be the end of the discussion for the indigenous science. Okay, so the discussion points is, answer this question. First is, what is your understanding? After all this explanation, what is your understanding of indigenous science? Next, how do society and culture influence the development of science and technology? So, next meeting, we will discuss the answer for these discussion points. So this will be the end for lesson 1.3, the Indigenous Science of the Philippines. Thank you for listening, and God bless to all, and stay safe.